I'm here. I'm with you. Ladies and gentlemen and Codys of the internet,
Lady and gentlemen.
welcome to another episode of the Unqualified Experts. I am your host, Jonathan Martin. I'm here in a hotel room in the southern tip of Minnesota on the Cape of Minnesota, surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean, bringing you this episode. I'm here with a panel of experts on everything. They're experts on everything. We've already covered a number of topics here on the Unqualified Experts. I want you to settle in tonight for something a little bit darker, maybe a bit more serious than our previous episodes. So put on your smoking jacket, get a cigar, get a tumbler of your favorite whiskey, maybe a glass of wine, maybe some scotch, something to settle you down, because we're going to be talking about ghosts on this week's episode of Unqualified Experts. So, again, like I said, I'm here with a panel of experts here on the subject. We've got Megan with us, Logan, Andrea, and Cody. So over the past couple of episodes, we've been introducing people kind of one by one just to get you familiar with the experts on life. This week, Cody, I kind of want you to talk about yourself a little bit. Who are you? What do you do? Why on earth haven't I fired you yet?
Well, because I run the YouTube channel, so there's that.
That's,
Would make it difficult.
I could probably still fire you.
That's probably true. Yeah, I host microphone. I host Unqualified Gamers with you. It's a Jonathan, not you, viewer. All right, listen. This is getting complicated. All right, viewer. I am Cody. I host a video game podcast called Unqualified Gamers with Jonathan, who is also on the podcast. Say hi, Jonathan.
Hi, Jonathan.
Great. That went really well. I also do like a radio show and stuff. Just go to codygoff.com if you want to hear more. I'm spooky, good looky.
That's right. He is so important that he has a website of his name. His name is his website. His website is his name. He is his website's name.
It's just my name, my first and last name over and over again. It's kind of like typing all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Only it's just Cody Goff, Cody Goff, Cody Goff, Cody Goff.
That's actually a fantastic segue, because I think that Stanley Kubrick, I think he was touched.
Yeah. Can you tell him on the radio, by the way? Because I just want to make sure that everyone is fully aware of that. That I'm able to. This is. I'm not sure if you can see my microphone. Actually, I have a microphone, and it's probably off camera. But as you can see by this microphone in front of the camera, I am in fact a radio on the radio. I just wanted to make that crystal clear to everyone.
Okay, so you're on the radio, but Cody, what do you know about ghosts?
Or as Regina Spektor would say, on the radio, on the radio, oh.
I don't know who that is, but Regina Spektor, like Spectre,
This is
also a good segue. Cody, what do you know about ghosts?
I know that ghost hunters, well, when it comes to ghost hunters, education does not matter, but intelligence generally does. People with average or less than average intelligence often do not see ghosts, but people with higher intelligence or those with altered intelligence, such as those with mental disorders, often do see ghosts.
One could argue that a mental disorder was in fact somebody who was like retarded.
Yeah,
which is like lower intelligence.
That's like literally the example that was used on the website that I found. The thing that I just said is the example they used. So
okay.
There's that. I also know that despite what Hollywood says, not all ghosts are evil. Hollywood gives ghosts a bad rap. And also, in conclusion, ghosts definitely exist.
That's not true. That's not true at all, because in the movie Ghost, the hit movie Ghost with Whoopi Goldberg and Patrick Swayze, the ghost was in fact a good guy.
What about the guy that was like on the trains though? Huh?
Oh, yeah, no, that's true.
There you
Well,
go.
I mean, Whoopi Goldberg was in that movie, and like she's half a man. So, like, what does that have to do with ghosts?
Well, checkmate, atheists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, either way, we both learned today now that ghosts exist, which I think
They did.
Andrea would agree with me on.
Why?
I don't.
Never.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true. Andrea, what do you think about ghosts?
I think I've seen one.
Okay, like
Yes,
where?
I knew it.
Where and when and
actually-
why
So wait,
and how?
I need to clarify. I didn't see one. I heard one.
Are you sure it wasn't
I thought that was
pipes?
just your upstairs neighbor.
Yeah, so don't you live?
I'm
Okay,
just-
time out really quick. So you saw or you heard a ghost.
Yeah.
Am I correct in that you live in a major metropolitan city where there are basically people moving around all the time, and you live in a building with other people?
Yeah, I didn't see it recently.
Okay, and there's not a chance that when living in a city surrounded by like millions of other people that it could have in fact been another, I don't know, alive human being?
Again, it wasn't when I was living here.
Okay, so where was this ghost then? Was it in Ghostsville?
Yes.
Ghostsville, Indiana?
No.
Okay, that's good because they don't allow gay people there anymore.
Why not?
That's a really good question because the government is dumb there.
Indiana.
Oh,
Indiana.
that's right. Okay.
Yeah, right. But back to ghosts. So where did you see this ghost?
It was in a old Victorian house that I used to work in when I was 15.
I mean, that kind of seems like the perfect environment for a ghost, does it not?
Mm-hmm.
Was it a Victorian mansion?
No.
Okay, were you the housekeeper?
No.
Okay, what did you do there?
I worked for a real estate company.
Okay.
When you were 15, you're a baller.
I wasn't a realtor at that point.
Okay, when you were selling this house, when
On
did
the
you
fly.
see the ghost?
Before I had to write up the description about the home, wherein I did not include that it was haunted.
I
Okay.
want to hear the whole story, start to finish.
I'm kidding. Do you want to know the actual story?
I do want to know the actual story.
Okay, so I worked for Coldwell Banker in the town I grew up in, which is Crete, which is tiny and half farmland. And I was regularly left alone there at night to close up because all the realtors would leave, and I only worked till 9:30. And one night, I was getting ready to close up, and I was shutting down the phone system, and it sounded very clearly like someone had closed one of the bedroom doors upstairs, walked down the hallway, and was starting to walk down the stairs behind me. And I, without looking up, just said, "Oh, I didn't realize anyone was here," and I looked up and no one was there, which was creepy. And then I didn't hear anything until I heard steps in the great room next to me and then steps on the outside porch, as if somebody had walked past me, around me, and outside and out the door. And I thought I was losing my mind, and I didn't want to bring it up because I was 15 and young and dumb and stupid. But I did bring it up to our broker owner fellow, and he said, "Oh yeah, that's our ghost. Everybody's heard him. Some people have seen him." Apparently it was just a house of crazy, slow people that all believed in this ghost.
So do you think that there might have been like a homeless person that lived there? Or
Maybe.
technically not homeless.
Andrew, I have another question for you.
So,
Do your parents know you have a debilitating mental illness?
that's not what they've ever told me. They just told me I was special.
Okay. Really though, like, I mean, how stereotypical can you get that this like old 15th century Victorian mansion is haunted, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that fits like every stereotype that Hollywood, believe it or not, has ever told us
There
about
is a difference
where
between
ghosts
a
exist.
stereotype and a Statistically, most old Victorian mansions are haunted by ghosts.
And that's because like lots of people have died there, right?
Victorians.
Logan, of all of us, I think that you seem like the truest believer.
Oh yeah.
In
I will
fact,
tell you. Here's the
I
story.
might even call you a believer. So can you explain to me your love of ghosts?
Yes. So it started when I was 9.
Uh-huh.
One time I was in bed, and I found that when I reached up.
This is
to-
hot. Hang on. This is a hot story. Keep talking.
When I reached up to my radio was on a shelf over my head, and when I reached up to change the volume on the radio would come into I don't know, focus or what, I don't know how you describe it it would sound better, like the sound would come through, and then I would put my arm down and try to go back to sleep, and the radio would fade out again, and then I'd reach back up, and I thought somebody's toying with me, right? And my 9-year-old brain thought, well, this must be a ghost, right? Until I grew up 5 seconds later and realized that that's how radio waves work, and my arm was acting as an antenna. So
ghost confirmed.
Yeah, it
There
must
was
be.
a ghost in your radio and in your arm that was causing signal to come in and out of your radio.
It was positively electrifying. I don't know.
Logan, why do you think a ghost was haunting your house and your radio?
I think because apparently to be a ghost you have to do like the most mundane bullcrap on the planet. Like you absolutely have to do something really stupid and lame. So like if you're a ghost, like you can't do something meaningful that you meant to do in your life. Instead, what you have to do is walk around like bumping glasses of water and making spooky noises and closing windows instead of wind, and I mean that's how ghosts work, right? So like you have to do that.
So
Like,
I was actually just going to say that, to my knowledge, like the reason why ghosts exist is because they didn't complete a task that they had wanted to do in their life, right? Like that was the very first definition of ghost that I ever learned in my life, was like a ghost is a wayward spirit that could not move on to the next life after he or she passed away because there was something left unaccomplished in their life. And you're saying that
yeah, and now
the unaccomplished goals in these ghosts' life are like the most mundane task, or they can't do those goals that they had. So you don't think it's like some mom that's like, oh, if only I had closed more windows and maybe dusted off the counter better and like cleaned the kitchen, and oops, I broke that glass.
Yeah, everybody in the 1800s when they died, on their deathbed they confessed, and we didn't hear about this because it was a confession, and in those days
that's between you and God and the priest and like the other.
So like they told the priest or their daughter or whoever.
And the person writing it down.
I have to scare the willies out of dogs for years to come.
Yeah.
That's what they have to do. They absolutely have to.
Yeah, and stuff was, I mean, now that you got cell phones and stuff, like kids, like there'll never be another ghost, is what Logan's trying to say.
No, man.
It's like it's all gonna be recorded. It's like surveillance, right? It's the opposite of surveillance, which is like when, like people from like higher up, they like look down on us. And they like look at us through cameras and stuff. Like surveillance is when like the population from the bottom up, they survey the landscape and other people. So that's what Logan's trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also heard that like they have to, if they're gonna show themselves to a camera, like the rule is that they have to take on the form of dust. I guess you can call it like orbs. People call it orbs, right?
Yeah, no, that was actually something. So I was reading up on ghosts before we decided to record, and yes, the reason why they decide to coalesce themselves as orbs is because they are like the densest small piece of matter that you can make. Did you know that a ghost weighs 21 grams according to a study that was done? 21 grams of ghost. A study that was done by Duncan McDougall.
What was the control group on that?
There were only 6 dying patients that were studied. It was like back in the 1700s. I don't think it was a legitimate study. But it doesn't matter. The point is that it is scientifically studied, and a ghost weighs 21 grams. And if you're going to make 21 grams of something, putting it in a sphere is the easiest way to... Like when water goes into space, right? What I'm trying to say is that it will always coalesce as a sphere, right? Because it is the densest particle that you can make that has the lowest amount of surface area. So it just makes sense that it's a sphere. And that's why
I'm gonna let somebody else weigh in because I feel like I'm taking up all my time with my amazing facts about the scientific purpose of why spirits must remain on Earth.
I feel like so far 3 of us have said that we believe that ghosts exist definitively, and I feel like now the tiebreaker lies with Megan.
I mean, I certainly believe that Whoopi Goldberg exists. I do want to know what Megan thinks about ghosts. So, Megan, what do you know about ghosts?
I definitely know that ghosts are real, and I believe that I have had a ghost encounter. Not quite like Andrea's, but...
Was it in a Victorian mansion that you were selling?
No.
Was it on an Indian burial ground?
It was at near White Cemetery on Cuba Road in Barrington, Illinois.
Near what?
Google this.
It was near a white cemetery?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's...
Yeah, for like Germans and Irish and stuff like that.
Well, that's really specific.
Yeah, it is.
But wait, we're not near white. We are white.
We try to be a little more racially sensitive here on the Unqualified Experts, but I mean, if that's where ghosts are found. Also, did Cody's screen freeze in
Can we click on him?
All right. Yeah. No, it's good. We're good. That's. All right. So you were near White Cemetery. What was your ghostly I can't even look at Cody's camera. What was your...
Dude, if that isn't definitive proof of a ghost right now, I don't know what is.
Oh,
Megan, what was your ghostly encounter?
Well, we were driving near this area specifically to look for ghosts. And there were 2 cars, and I was driving the first car, and we didn't see anything, so we gave up and turned around and went home. And when we got back, the girls in the car behind us came running, screaming up to our car, telling us how we almost got hit by a big black SUV, that it was flashing its lights and came to a screeching stop in front of us, which none of the people in my car saw. And then if you Google this area, Cuba Road, Barrington, Illinois, you will see that phantom cars are very common in that area. So, I mean, clearly that's the only explanation. So ghosts are definitely real.
So
there's no other explanation.
Do you think that if this phantom car had run over one of you, that it would have gone right through you? Like this was the kind of car that couldn't actually have hurt you? Or do you think ghosts?
That's
or do you think ghosts can
experience.
You don't want the phantom car?
I don't want to get run over by a phantom car. I'm gonna stick to ghosts from afar.
I mean, would you prefer to get run over by a real car? Like, if you had your choice, what kind of car would you like to get run over by?
A Mercedes.
Nobody asked you, Andrea.
Well, on Andrea's point, I hope to get hit. If I have to get hit by a car, I will pick the one with the most money in the lawsuit afterwards.
Oh, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Truly proof that ghosts exist. So, regarding so you had an experience at a cemetery, which I mean, that's just a generally haunted place because there's dead people there, right? When we were kids, we used to go out to a place called Bloods Point Road, and I don't know if it was actually called Bloods Point Road.
It was. It is actually called Bloods Point Road.
The road is titled BL. Point Road. And so we just always assumed, and I think that might be the name of it, like Logan says, but it's Bloods Point Road. And it's this really windy road in the country, and it's got a couple of farmhouses on the sides of the road. It's got it's got a couple cornfields, and then it's also got a cemetery there. And we went walking through the cemetery one time, and a guy in the farm that was behind the cemetery came out with a gun, if I'm not mistaken, and I think yelled at us. And that wasn't very scary. That wasn't really a ghostly experience. But Bloods Point Road had a lot of folklore surrounding it. For instance, there was one time that people saw cows laying down.
I thought cows stood up when they slept.
From what I understand, this is very abnormal behavior for
They
cows.
do that when it's gonna rain.
All I'm saying is that these cows it is purported, I did not actually see these cows laying down, but it is purported that there were some cows that were laying down on Bloods Point Road. So, I mean, that is, I think, a significant finding. I heard voices as well when we were out in the cemetery, but there were people behind me talking, and then there was also somebody coming out of the house near the cemetery, so it could have been those voices. But I definitely heard voices, and I didn't know where they were coming from. There was also a shed in the cemetery in Bloods Point Road, and we almost walked into it, which was kind of scary. So those are scary things that happened at Bloods Point Road, which are all very ghostly, and I think may support the idea that ghosts exist.
I'm on board.
Yeah, my other experience with ghosts is that when I was like 14 years old, I visited New Orleans, and I don't know if
New Orleans is super haunted.
yeah, and I don't know if any of you know anything about New Orleans, but there is a huge there's a huge group of people that believe in hauntings there in New Orleans, and so we did a couple of ghost tours, and basically you go on these ghost tours down there, and they tell you that every building is haunted. And so there's like a different story from every building. A lot of people kill their spouses in New Orleans, or at least they did at one point, because that was a lot of the generation of haunting. Like, that is what caused a lot of the hauntings in these places. So spouses were dying everywhere, mostly because of some sort of infidelity, right? And so everybody that was on these tours took pictures of all of these houses, assuming that they would find like ghostly images. And of course, nobody found anything because the ghosts they were on vacation. I don't know. It was the summertime, so I think the ghosts probably would have left.
Well, I think that ghosts, if you're looking for a ghost, it won't come out. But if you're doubtful, then it will mess with you.
It's like a herpes sore.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. Yeah. No, that totally makes sense when you put it like that. That's also really gross. So I
have a test that everybody can perform. They can go out to their and you may have read about this on the internet. Every time you cross over railroad tracks, right? You often get helping hands from the people that died there at those railroad tracks.
I've never actually read that.
So
Oh, I've read it a million times.
Me too.
if you go outside, if you've driven over railroad tracks and you know who you are, if you've done this, go out to your car and look and see if there are handprints on the back of your car, and you'll see
Put baby powder on your
those
bumper.
helping hands.
Is that the scientific test?
That is.
I would
Okay.
agree
Science
with
has proven it.
Before
And-
we close, I think I want to at least mention and talk about the most famous ghost in all of history. And that ghost is Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. So, Jesus died.
I think it's Jesus, dude.
Jesus died and was buried. And we all know on the third day he rose again, right? But it was Ghost Jesus that in fact rose from the dead and left that tomb, right? So I can't think of more definitive proof that ghosts exist.
Now, hang on a minute. I have found some. I've found a plot hole in your story because he did not perform any mundane tasks after he rose, and I'm pretty sure that's exactly what he needs to
I
do to be a ghost.
think
I'm
if
pretty
you
sure. I'm
no,
pretty sure it's just a dude. Because
I
he'd be closing windows all over the place.
I think if you look in the book of Luke, he knocks over a couple of glasses of water. I think he
Oh,
closes. I think he closes some cupboard doors. It's in there. It's one of
okay.
those. It's one of those translations that was then retranslated. It was translated again. Eventually, it became a miracle about him like making a bunch of fish and bread.
Yeah. I
But
think maybe
really,
they
but
they
I
left it
think
out at the Council
I
of Nicaea.
I
They
think
decided to
in
leave
the
that.
original scripture, he did in fact knock over some water glasses and make some spooky noises. And I think that was him behaving as a ghost would behave.
So, Jesus Christ, in the way that you're describing, was a lich. If you look at the description of what a lich actually is, the undead being.
I thought
I
those were
saw, I
just.
read
I
a
thought.
thing on
I
it one
thought. I
time.
thought those were undead beings that like craved power, and that didn't they? Don't they? Isn't that like their thing? Like
See, I always thought, for
I'll
whatever
look up the
reason,
lit.
I thought it was pronounced lick, Lich, like lick for some reason. And then everybody was like, "No, you're an idiot."
are you saying that
That's my
Jesus was
story.
harvesting the souls of the dead to increase his own power?
Hang on.
Okay, because
Cody offended the powers that be, is what he did.
that's a pretty drastic claim. I want you to know that.
Yeah, I'm gonna back it up. Hold on. Here we go. You there?
Yeah, no, we're listening.
Oh yeah.
Oh, hey, my computer didn't freeze. I am mildly in shock, actually. Okay, so a lich is created when a powerful magician or king striving for eternal life uses spells or rituals to bind his soul to his animated corpse and thereby achieves immortality. Liches are depicted as being clearly cadaverous. Their body is still bearing the wounds they received and have the power of necromancy, which allows them life. And scene.
I mean, but I don't think that he bound himself to his body. In fact, the body just wasn't there, right?
You know, I forgot what he's not even the most famous ghost of all time.
Okay, if
Yeah.
he's not the most famous ghost of all time, who is? And Casper's not a real ghost. That's a Hollywood ghost like Whoopi Goldberg.
No, he's a friendly ghost, and you just don't like him because he's friendly. So, to you.
I don't like him because he got Christina Ricci in the end.
Well, the
I
girls
think
are
that the
Oh, that's
most
true.
famous ghost was the ghost of Christmas Past.
Ah,
Yeah,
bringing
he
it
was
back
super
around.
famous from renowned American screenwriter Charles Dickens,
Yeah, no,
as we all know.
that may be the most
Super
famous
famous.
ghost
How
that
many
ever
movies?
existed. It's Scrooged, A Christmas Story, A Muppet Christmas Carol. Gosh, I mean, we could go on and on and on, couldn't we?
Super famous.
Yeah, we usually could go on and on.
Yeah, and the Ghost of Christmas Future, it was basically Death, right? Who appears in everything. Charles Dickens is the most famous ghost.
I got nothing to add to that.
Listener, I am glad.
Viewer.
Viewer and listener. I
Just
am viewer.
They probably have us on mute and they're just watching us for our good looks, let's face it. We're all really good looking.
Watcher, I am glad that you could join us to learn everything there is to know about ghosts on this, our third episode of Unqualified Experts. I hope you will join us again next time. Cody, if they want to find more of us, where can that happen?
YouTube.com/unqualifiedpodcast. Or email us at unqualifiedpodcast@gmail.com. Or email Logan at Logan is the best at Logan.com.
Logan, that's kind of an asshole email account.
That's not Logan's email. It's actually it's weird. It's actually Andrea and Megan share that email address, and then either
And it forwards to CodyGoff.com.
yeah, it is. Yeah, that's what I didn't know what you actually did with those emails that you get to that email address, Andrea.
You'll see.
You can also
I print
find
them
this
out
in
and
the
hang
dictionary.
them on the wall.
You print them out of what?
I print them out and I hang them on my wall.
She makes clothes out of them that she then wears to work.
I see. The irony turns in on itself.
That's
Yeah,
right.
you can find us there. We have a Facebook page too. Andrea manages it by herself. That's why there's not any posts, because she's too busy.
And you
So
can
you
also find us in the dictionary under gorgeous
Palanquin?
and palanquins.
And Palanquin.
Our next episode's going to be about palanquins, isn't it?
Maybe.
Is it queen or keen? It's keen, right? Is that what we found out? Keen.
I don't know. What do I know? I see ghosts.
Thanks for joining us, viewer. We'll see you next time.
I'm not I'm Cody.
What? You're frozen again. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a good look for him.
He's not the viewer.
Oh, read
Oh my goodness. And I thought, I'm in a hotel internet connection. There is no excuse for me having a more stable connection than Cody.
You know the funniest part is that I literally clicked end broadcast, and that is what froze